Welcome to the Intentional Fulfillment Podcast, hosted by your one and only Alan Nogier. I'm here to help you improve in every facet of life and teach you everything I've learned on a journey toward fulfillment, whether in health, relationships, spirituality, or finances. On this podcast, I'll be giving you my best advice, trainings, and mindset shifts so you can become the person capable of achieving anything. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Intentional Fulfillment Podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest today, right? I'm the host. She is the most amazing guest. And I've already had a full hour, I think it was an hour conversation that we had before this. And oh my gosh, you guys will love her. Her name is Destiny Muhammad. Destiny, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Alan, for having me. I'm really pleased to be on board.
Yes, I'm so happy for people to get to know who you are and your spirit. So let's get started into getting to know you a little bit. And tell me, first tell the audience what it is that you do.
I'm a full-time performing recording artist who also is a curating artist, creator-curator as well. And my instrument and my modality is harp. And I sing and play harp, storytell as well within that whole experience that I just shared with you. So that is me in a nutshell.
Yeah, totally. And what I love about and what the audience is going to learn today is that I'm a musician as well. And I think music is sometimes misunderstood because it's not necessarily always about the music, but the meaning that you can live through music and that you can share through music. And I know you bring an insane amount of meaning to music, Can you tell me just like, what is the message that you share most through your music when you talk about music, or, what about music,
For me, music is such a powerful force. And my main objective as a musician and as a person who music is what I am, is to inspire the human spirit to be at its very best at all times, to trust what the God of their understanding. This is a term I just learned recently from a group of folks called Infinity Fellowship out of Tennessee, but they say the God of your understanding, and that people will feel that inspiration and a relationship with God as they can understand it without any dictates or guide. Well, I don't want to use the word guidance because many times most of us need to be guided in a direction and then we can start to walk. And so that is my main thing with the music. Music is such a powerful force. I remember as a child reaching to music as a source of inspiration for myself and hearing the messages. That's why I'm very wise about, and maybe I don't want to pop my own collar about that.
No, please do. You are insanely wise.
But I choose to be more conscious about what I say, because music merged with words is so powerful, because that repetitive process, especially many of us who will put it on repeat, we'll start to repeat those conversations that we hear in the music, and that moves past the epidermal, the skin, into the DNA.
Yeah.
And then we'll see that actualized out in our world and wonder why we're seeing coming back to us what we said. We don't know. Most of us are still in various stages of waking up. And so we don't know that repetitive saying some things just brings about into one's life the most negative and or positive. And so I'm conscious of what comes out of my life, out of my mouth. There's a scripture in the biblical text that says, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable." The words of my mouth, I want them to always uplift and inspire and encourage.
Yes, beautiful.
So sometimes those words are coming by way of music. And so anytime I get to merge music with words and I can say something that's going to make your spirit feel better about itself. That's why gospel music is so powerful, because you get that badass rhythm.
Yeah.
And you got folks moving around, so you got that movement, and music happening simultaneously, and then the mouth is in motion, you impacting that spirit even faster. So going back to your question, for me, it is imperative that I am here on the planet to uplift, inspire, and encourage the human spirit.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know that, I know some people listening, they'll understand the concept that what you listen to does have a subconscious effect, right? That's one perspective to look at it. But what you're saying is it goes much deeper. And I love the way we can best understand that depth of meaning through music and not just through music, but through creative expression, through like the words, through the heart and the understanding, is that which you said at the very beginning, which is the God of your understanding, right? How you choose to see God, in whatever light that might be. And it might be a manifested form of love, music, and so It's important that we're intentional about these creative outlets, because they're showing us the God that we wish to see within within ourselves and within our reality,
Oh, yes. Yes. That's why in a conversation that we had, that's why I don't have the Western cosmology where there's a separation between your work life or your life and your religion, if you will. And that's a Western concept, very Western. And so it creates a division in the mind of the individual where they say, okay, this is how I operate at work and in my life, and then this is how I operate at church. And you're only spending about 3 to 4 hours at the church, and probably only once a day. What I understand for myself is that all of it is spirit and
Yes.
full actualization. And so my life is always, I have decided, and I decided even pre-pandemic, that I'm going to continue to stay, the social media word is engaged with the infinite, with this God of my understanding in everything that I do. There will not be a separation because there isn't.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. And the podcast name is Intentional Fulfillment. And I think what you just captured is the verb, right? Because being intentionally fulfilled, what is the verb there that you just said? It is engaged with the spirit. There is no division. All of life is meaning. That's the point. The point is not going to work.
No! No, that is not the point. And seeing the work as some type of other. Yeah. It is an extension. That's why it's imperative for us to do what we love.
Yeah.
It is, or to love where we are and see each individual or portion of the work as an extension of ourselves. So how do I bring my very best to that, regardless of what it is? In my previous life, before I was a harpist, that as folks have this great big esteem over, it's a beautiful extension. But before that, I was a barber cutting hair on dope dealers. And businessmen, dope dealers. Anyway. But I was in service in that way, and I laid hands on people and allowed people to talk. And regardless of what folks' economic status was, there are several places they will visit: hair salons, beauty and barbershops, churches, and funeral parlors, whether as a guest or as a guest.
Yeah.
And so all of what I have done in my life has led me to this portion of my life. There has been no separation. I still am serving through sound, whether I'm standing on a stage with thousands of people or I am actively engaged in bringing a sound that will calm the spirit of someone whose loved one has just joined the realm of the ancestors. Yeah. See, there is no separation. I'm still serving, and my job is to bring it at the very best I can.
Yeah. I love this. Like I've heard it put many times, but many times the deep understanding still misses the mark when people say the illusion of separation. And it's this deep knowing that yes, everything in your life is a web. It's like a, you know, I love the movie Cloud Atlas, right? If anybody's listening, go watch it. It's so beautiful. It's the concept, it's the atlas in the cloud, right? That all of our lives are intertwined, right? That every act of kindness breeds a future act of kindness, and every act of malice breeds a future act, and it's all connected. And so when we're trying to, you know, if we're in a place that's stuck or difficult, really, it starts with the smallest act of love. Like the smallest act of kindness can radically change your life, you know, and you only know it and see it once you decided, I'm going to open up to it. I have no expectations for what life may give me, but let me receive.
Let me receive.
Let me receive. And that is what I call grace, you know, and people associate grace with a religious word, but grace is simply something that happens for you, you know? And I know you love this concept. I would love to know your interpretation of grace.
If there's the song Amazing Grace, grace is amazing. And so there's a woman, a beautiful jazz vocalist, who wrote a song called I Just Want to Testify. She says, amazing grace saved my life. It is that grace that sometime a old grandmother, Alan, a great grandmothers whose spirit will show up in the moment when we think that we can't go on anymore. And sometimes I can feel the hand. My mother has been an ancestor for many years, and my grandmother more than that. And there's times when I just felt like I couldn't move forward, or something felt so horrific that I just didn't know how to deal with it. And I could feel the grace of that hand on my shoulder, that invisible hand saying, you got this, baby, and we got you. It's that grace of allowing oneself to be sensitive enough to hear the voice of spirit in a voice that is so familiar that you thought you had forgotten.
Yeah.
That is grace, to be able to hear or to see something and say, oh, I know who and what that was, but it's been so long, and they were there and then they weren't. That's grace, to have that sixth sense, to be able to sense and know what's happening before it happens, or happening in real time, and now you really are just a spectator in the experience. That's some hella grace, baby.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you're right. That's the sixth sense. It's almost a superpower, because our power is within us, how we direct our lives with intention, but yet there's something outside of us that is working for us if we just choose to see it. Like, you know, we just open up, and I swear it's passing us by every single moment. Grace is literally, I look outside my window and the fall leaves are absolutely gorgeous. Right there, that's grace.
Yes, come on now. Come on now. You better talk.
Right? If I've chosen to see it,
yes,
then I can perceive the grace.
Wait. But hear what you said. If you chose it, because the choose is still about the intention. And intention is such, you know, when you choose to be intentional, that means that every breath you intend to acknowledge its power. And that's intentional. Many of us, the vast majority of us, are walking around unintentional. I live in Oakland, which there's a bridge that goes into San Francisco. And we get on the bridge just with any old thing. We just trust that the bridge is going to be available.
Yep.
We don't even think about it. It's that level of trust that I am actively harnessing the power of it about everything. Not just when I get on the bridge past the toll booth and me and husband get over it. No, I want that level of trust in full operation in everything that I do. That's why I
Yeah.
don't want to see a separation. That's why the bridge becomes an everyday analogy. I had a chance to blessed to work in Oakland and in San Francisco, but that bridge becomes an analogy every time. And I'm
Hmm.
seeing, and it makes even more sense now.
Yeah. There's this quote that you're reminding me of,
Hmm.
because that I want to ask you, because I know your story, right? I know the perspective that's shaping what you're saying now, and the fact that went from barber to musician. And the quote that I'm thinking of, the thing that truly makes us scared is that we fear that we are powerful beyond belief,
Yeah, buddy.
you know?
Yeah.
And you, can you please tell us your story? Because you went into musicianship at 40, right?
30. At 30.
30.
Yeah, which is still moving into the vintage era.
I mean, but yeah, people think they have to do what their childhood, was dictated by, or what their 20s were dictated by.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're scared that we're powerful enough to actually be that intentional about life. Can you tell us your story?
Yes, when I was 9 years old was when I first saw harp being played by a man named Harpo Marx on a show called I Love Lucy. It wasn't available for me then, and at that time we were moving from having a little bit of a lot to zero welfare, food stamps, yada. So struggling, going through the whole lifestyle of living in the projects, wondering where food is going to come from, wondering how to live. I graduated from high school after having sang in high school, couldn't read music at all. And my mother, when asked me what did I want to do, I said, I don't know. And it was a lie because I really wanted to go to school to study music, but I was concerned about my family. So I decided, so she said, why don't you go to school, get your barber's license? You'll be able to work and make money because money is a factor when you're struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Went to school, got my barber's license, moved forward. I get my barber's license at 18, come out of barber school, work in two shops. There was another little hiatus in there. That's another podcast for another time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm 21 years old, and there's a barber shop literally 5 blocks up the street from me that was closed on the Saturday, and 4 Saturdays go by and it's still closed. And if you don't make money on any day, baby, Saturday is the day. Saturday is the day when them greenbacks roll in.
Yep.
And the barbershop was below was a part of a building that housed places where merchant marines would come in, a couple of restaurants and a liquor store, and a longshoreman's hall around the corner. And so I went into the portion of it that led up to the hotel for longshoremen. And when I came out, 21 years old, I had the keys to that barbershop.
That's beautiful.
And I lived in the projects 5 blocks up the street. So
Yeah.
I got my first shop at 21 years old, and I'm balling. We're talking the 80s, and I am balling as a 21-year-old. And I was feeling good about my work and being a business owner at 21, but I knew there was something else I said I was going to do. And so I'm doing my thing and I'm balling. And at 30 years old, I start dating a man whose best friend is a harp builder. And I get my first harp at 30. I remembered this is what I wanted to do. Got my first harp at 30, and I had to start right at the beginning, like every child.
Yep.
And it was Twinkle Twinkle for any of you who got music students out there. You get the Twinkle Twinkle Hot Cross Buns and Doodle and all those songs that teach you the fundamentals of how to work it. Because many of us have the skill and the talent. But what shapes the talent, if we give ourselves permission, is to sit down and start to train the talent. This is any Jedi's job. This is any X-Man's job. You feel me?
Yeah.
Learning those fundamentals. So I got my first harp at 30, and the man that I was dating, he hated Los Angeles. And I could feel this pull of the instrument on me. It was pulling like in the middle of the night. And he said, I hate LA. I said, I know. And I said, I'm really ready to step into the fullness of this instrument, what it wants to take me to do. Mm-hmm. And so I turned the barbershop over to my mother, and we moved to the Bay Area where I live now. That individual and I have since moved in different directions, but the
Mhm.
harp and I have continued. And
Mhm.
that I got my first harp in 1992. As we move into 2021, I have been playing active as a full-time musician for 29 years. And the journey is still very continuous, starting out playing at farmers markets and coffee houses for tips
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
trusting the infinite to provide. I mean, it's true for all of you who are out there, musicians, and you know, it is trust on an ongoing occasion. We
Mhm.
walk this path of the music. It calls us. It is the voice of the infinite saying, "Come on, babe. Keep
Mhm.
keep practicing." I know it seems difficult, but if you repetitively do it and hear it and allow me to guide you, because that's literally what it's been. I played at farmers markets where there were three brides who all wanted to hire me.
Mhm.
And at weddings, the infinite would provide. I got a job that for you, for those of you who are working day jobs, one of the things I learned from a wonderful author by the name of Lisa Nichols, who I had the blessing to play behind. She says, see your jobs. She see as an investor. She says, see
Mhm.
your day job as an investor, invested in your dream. So I saw
Mhm.
my day job where I was selling exotic wood and Japanese woodworking tools. Investor. They
Yeah.
very investor. And so as they invested and I started to reinvest what I got from them, I was able to step away from that job. They hated it when I left and I loved them. But I knew that this call was so deep that I needed to deeply focus in on the next evolution of what the music was going to take me to do. And it just keeps opening up more and more doors. But the engagement of what is imperative, because I recognize that many folks, if you have a day job, if your mind doesn't stay completely, while you're working your day job on the thing that you said that you wanted to do, then you'll give up. And many of us, especially here in the West, if we're not getting it by 30, if we haven't made our millions by 30, then we just said, well, to hell with it, and we use that OLD word, which I don't use with myself or anyone else, and just
Mhm.
figure and give up. But
Yeah.
we don't know when the door is going to open up for us to step in. It might not be at 30. It might not be. I will tell you, I am so grateful that the blessings that are coming
Mhm.
came now because I have I have a fortitude within myself that is based on having lived this life and seen some things that maybe I shouldn't have seen.
Mhm.
But I did, and it have put an imprint on my spirit that allows me to move with the confidence level because I'm standing not on the shoulders but on the feet of 10,000 ancestors, because I don't want to be that high up from
Mhm.
them. I want to feel all that power engulfing me. And so that is just a snapshot of my life as I
Yeah.
continue to move through this music. I got blessed to get a harp endorsement from a wonderful harp company in Southern California called Triplet
Yeah.
Harps. They gave me not one, but four beautiful Celtic hearts, man, and out
Wow.
of, it's these things. But what I know is if folks see you doing the work, this is why it is imperative to be grateful and to be gracious and to be thankful, because you don't know who spirit is sending to watch you
Mhm.
and to send out little bit. I have had folks give me blessing. I can't even speak their name because they're still in positions that allow
Mhm.
them to do those things, but they can't say anything. But when we see each other, we give each other the palms or the eyes. I have received blessings. I can't even tell you where they've come from.
Yeah.
They have been the avenues, not the source. And these are things that we have to recognize very readily, is not to see any institution or individual as the source. They are an avenue for the source. And we always want to
Mhm.
thank the avenue, but we want to be hella happy with the source for using or choosing that avenue and any other avenue it may use to provide.
Yeah. And that everything you just said there, like there's one word that stands out, which
Mm,
is the essence of you. And I remember the last time we talked, the way I had, mentioned it to you. I was like, you are so in the best way, and you know what I'm gonna like, childlike, authentic, and you doesn't matter, and that's why you don't like the OLD word, because it's not real. Oh, like that's in our mind, and we are always children at heart, and a child at heart is simply one who follows his heart.
Yes.
Authenticity.
Yes.
How
the people that have had the most impression on you, they could appear to be vintage, but their spirit is so young. They're still excited about being alive, about the gift that they have, whatever it is. They're still, man, it's this level of excitement and joy that comes just from being.
Yeah.
These are the folks that have the largest impression on me. You could look at them and say, whoo, I know they're running a good, and you can name the year 60, 70, but they seem to be so excited.
Yes.
And I want some of that. That's why folks go to concerts. I want some of that. I want some of that. That look like fun.
Yeah.
But what is that person decided? I'm giving up everything else so I can be in this joy and in this state all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I can live this all the time. What are you willing to give up?
Mm-hmm.
And to set free and to let go. Any old concepts that you inherited, possibly from your community, your family and friends, and people don't mean any harm. We've got generational craziness, not just nuts, but ideas about who and what we're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to listen to, I don't know if I shared this with you, but I remember when I first decided and stepped into, yes, Lord, I'm going to take this harp on. And at this time, it was the hard lines. We didn't have cell phones. And like I said, we're talking like 92. Mm-hmm. And I remember one of my friends called me up, hey, girl, what you doing? I said, girl, I'm playing a harp. She said, harp? Like harp? I said, yeah. She said, you know what? You are old. You are black. And we don't do that.
Mm.
And at that time, the phone is like this, but the hard line was like this. I looked at it and click. I ain't trying to hear that. You tell that to somebody else. And again, like I said, she don't mean any harm because she was speaking about herself.
Yeah.
She had a job that it paid the bills. It was a good job according to what the world would say. But there wasn't an opportunity for her to be fully expressed or see herself fully expressed as what it was that she brought to the table.
Yeah.
So raining on my parade? No, we wasn't having it. That's a click.
Yeah. And that's exactly the kind of trust that, because what you had there was, and this is where self-love comes from.
Yes.
Self-love comes from self-trust. When you know what you want inside, and you know what is authentic, and you trust yourself enough to keep going.
Yes.
Out of that, you will learn to love yourself, because you'll say all these sacrifices, like, doesn't matter what I've gained, what I've lost, it was all worth it because I found myself.
I found myself, and possibly even created myself.
Mm.
Because the possibility is that there wasn't anything to find. Maybe the ability is in jazz, we call it shedding. And we're shedding off everything that is not the music. You look at a skin, a snake. Snake ain't trying to create itself. Snakes shed all that skin that's not about moving forward. She lets it go. And we have that possibility. And before the age of 7, we actually are in a state of actualizing that. We don't even know how to harness that power. Well, we'll go, look, mommy, I'm Superman. Look, mommy. Look, daddy. Look. And the parent is looking at him like, you better be trying to shut up. Yeah. By the time the child is 7, that joy is almost trained out of them. You get to 8 to 12, and they're still pretty happy. But the conformity is started to set in, unless that parent on some level is saying they still need to have some level of understanding of how this particular portion of the world works, but I'm going to give them free rein on continuing to express themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be difficult for a parent, because if a parent hasn't giving him or herself the permission to start to actualize who and what they are, then it's easy to put down the child, because heaven forbid the child start to become fully expressed and actualized, and you feel like he or she is smelling themselves or thinking that they're better than you.
Mm-hmm.
See, that can be a challenge for a parent who, if he or she is not actively working on the evolution of their own self as well, and not trying to live it precariously through the child.
Yeah.
Get your own life, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
And encourage the child to have their own. One of the beautiful things I've seen is where you have a child and a parent both choosing to go to college, and they're both graduating at the same time. The parent didn't have the opportunity earlier on, right? But
Yes.
they didn't give up. And so now here they are, 49, 50, 79, and they're going for maybe just a degree, maybe didn't even get out of high school. And the child is proud of the parent saying, yes, look at my mom, look at my dad, look at my parents. They had me, and they kept their commitment to making sure I had what I required to move on this planet. And now they're going for theirs. Woo!
Yeah.
See, that's somebody saying, I'm a hold off for right now, but I'm going to step into it as well.
Yeah.
So we can both be healthy minded people.
Yeah.
Not one looking at the other. You think you something now that you grown. Well, get out of my house. What kind of shit is that? Stop it.
Yeah. And it's crazy that I love what you're talking about, because it has so many roots in just like love and growth in this sense, which is when like all parenting is really just leadership, right?
Oh, wow.
It's just leadership, and the best leaders lead by being the change that they wish to see in the others. Right? Be the change that you want to see in the world. Be the change that you want to see in your children. And I remember this falseness that I heard as a child, which is I say it because I want parents everywhere to hear it and become self-aware so they don't say it, which is,
yes,
do what I say, not what I do.
Yes, Lord.
And
oh my God.
That's not it. That's the antithesis. The answer is self-actualize as the leader, be the change, and your kids will look up to you, or in any leadership position. Like I look up to people, right? I look up to my partner, right? Because she embodies this. She is the change. She leads not with words, but with action.
Yeah.
Right? Intentional action. And that is where love comes from.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And more, and furthermore, self-love, trust. What is trust? Trust is saying you're going to do something and then following through with it.
Yeah.
In a relationship, trust is saying you're going to do something, or not even saying it to begin with, just doing it, showing up, right? And all those things, like the power of your word. And we get back to that initial concept. The power of your word is trust, which leads to love. Yes. And what kind of relationship for parents do we want to have with our children?
Yes.
Love based in trust, based in the concept that love is a verb. It's action, right?
Yes, Lord.
Or do we want to have that relationship where it's judgment? This is what you have to do. This is what you should do, even though I don't do it.
Yes.
Right.
No, but and that is such a falsity. That when you going back to the conversation where you said, do as I say, not what I do, we're only following what you do. If the individual is not working on self, or actually doing all that they can in their environment and with themselves to make things happen, why would I believe what you say?
Yep.
I'm trying to remember there's a quote, and I want to say it's Walt Whitman says, "What you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying."
Mm-hmm. Yes. Wow, that's a good one.
You know, and I think it's Walt Whitman or Thoreau who said that, and that is the thing is that we see what folks, we hear what you say, but what you're doing is so on the other side of that that anything else coming out of your mouth, we're gonna trust it to be a lie.
Yeah.
And so that's it. That and I'm not a parent, so I feel for parents because you either you've consciously or unconsciously said, I'm going to actually produce another being coming out of my body. And so it's not like the child comes with a manual. You didn't. So, you know, and so you're literally trusting those around you who have been through the experience to assist you in guiding this new being who has just arrived with their own DNA encoded on them.
Yeah.
And so it can be a hard challenge. And so I'm even more mindful about saying that to parents and knowing that I have to be at my very best. So perhaps I'm an example to a contemporary who does have children.
Yes. Yeah. It's, yeah, that's it. Even, and that's the concept that we talked about earlier, that everything is connected, because
Yes.
even not as parents,
Yes.
we're still teaching concepts to parents by who we are. So if that is true, then how we show up right now in this very moment affects not just how you see yourself as a parent, but how you see yourself in your work life, how you see yourself as a lover, how you see yourself in every way. And that's all humans do. We follow by example, right? Actions speak, and
yes.
And now you can start to see that every act of kindness breeds a greater act of kindness, and every act of malice breeds a greater act of malice, and it's all a web. And that's why I always say the roots of all of human suffering is just one thing: it's judgment.
Wow.
We judge, and we create this falseness inside of someone else's mind that judgment is theirs as well. And so we judge. When we judge others, we're creating an idealized comparison for which to judge ourselves against.
An idealized comparison. And where do we learn to compare ourselves?
I want to hear your answer.
What I can say is that many times we learn, I know that I've learned to compare myself based on the households that I've been in. And so again, I go back to many times in my community, we hear the word generational curses. And most of the time, the generational curses I'm hearing about are based in financial, you know, that's what I've seen. And what I also know that is walking alongside that is a generational curse of comparing. Well, why don't you do like so-and-so? Why can't you be like, well, you know, you don't look like her. You ain't as cute as, you're not built like, and therein lies a comparison. Yeah. And then we create this othering of one another. And then the individual is feeling like, well, maybe I'm not as good as them. Maybe if I started to look like them, or went and got my hair done like them, or went and started wearing the clothes that they do, maybe you will like me like you like them. We haven't even asked that individual, the one who's being the compared to, do you like you? Yeah.
And the interesting thing, which I really want you to tell the story that you told me about when you were playing the harp at the marketplace, and you know, this beautiful woman walks up and she tells you what she tells you, because I want people to hear that like, if you can put yourself in her shoes as Destiny is telling the story, realize that this woman sought ambition out of comparison, and once she had it, she then just compared to what she didn't. You keep comparing. And, you know, so it's ambition. Like, I don't like to say ambition, because I understand that ambition is a desire for out of scarcity, right? The right, or I'm not going to say the right word, but the word I like to use is growth.
Yes.
Because growth is happiness. So I just want the audience to see how, like, psychologically, maybe she was like comparing herself with this understanding. Can you tell us that story? Because it's so beautiful to your authenticity.
Oh my gosh. So years back, I want to say like 90, 98, as I was building my relationship with my craft, I'm out at the San Francisco Farmers Market on the Embarcadero playing amongst the fruit and the flowers. It's a Saturday, it's a lovely day, and I'm literally playing for tips. The market at that time did not have any financial to give you, so you played for tips, exposure, and just get out, and for 4 hours. So I've got my harp out, my tip jar out, and I've gotten some flowers from one of the flower vendors. They just so you know, please support the farmers because they are wonderful,
Mhm.
wonderful people. So I'm out there and I'm playing, and I'm out there playing and I'm singing, and here comes this white female. And she really, if you look just at her, she already looked like the epitome of success.
Mhm.
Beautiful, the blonde hair cut in a nice bob, nice and clean. As you know, I was since I styled hair, I'm looking at the cut. I was like, ooh, that's clean, good, clean cut, flawless makeup, beautifully well manicured, lovely dress, and she appeared to be the epitome of success based on the standard that we have in the Western world. So I'm out there
Mhm.
playing, and she's watching me
Mhm.
the entire time. And what I would do is do an hour set. So I do an hour set the first set, and then the subsequent hours, 3 hours, I would do 45 minutes. She watches me the entire time, at least that second, maybe the second set. And when I'm done, she walks over to me and she says, I did she did I didn't even really get a high. I got a you know try to play the harp too, and I was in did 1 year of playing at a high school and then did a little bit in college, but I just didn't think that I could make it. I didn't think I could really do it. So I went to school and put my music aside and decided to become a lawyer. And I'm looking at her looking at me. And for her, in my eyes, I probably look like the success because she said, "You got guts." And her eyes started to fill with tears. And she reaches in her wallet and takes $100 bill out and puts in my tip jar. Baby, if I had wanted to, I could have quit for the rest of the day because in '97, that wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But I look back on that time where here was someone who had access to the schools, the wealth, was in college. I didn't feel like I can do it, so I went ahead and become an attorney because I know I can. And I don't know what type of law she did. She put the money in my jar. The tears started to come, and she walks away.
Mhm.
And I could see that she had a few more years on me. She'd done this for a while, but there was no joy there.
Mhm. And it just illuminates the definition and the rootedness of success and genuine happiness, not in the illusions we tell ourselves they are, but in authenticity.
And remember that the reason we tell ourselves those stories is because we have allowed the dictates by something and someone else to tell us what success is and needs to look like.
Yeah.
And now we have it on repeat in our subconscious. We're not
Mhm.
programming ourselves, we are allowing another entity to do it. I think I shared this with you that I've got a few minutes on the planet, and when I was coming up, social media was not even, it might have been a thought but not in my mind. And
Yeah.
television would come on at about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning and go off at midnight, so you
Mhm.
could not watch television again. And I think radio the same thing, so that at least there was a little bit of a breather in between there for one to
Mhm.
kind of get a break and either try to program one yourself, or at least just kind of fall out. But now that the programming is on automatic, eat this, buy this, wear this. And
Mhm.
then you've got the micro and macro influencers on social media in any platform. Eat this, buy this, wear that, do this, think this, like this, don't like this, going at all times. And so when you talk about being intentional, I get to ask myself, what am I intentionally choosing to consume? not just here
Yeah.
and here.
Yeah.
What am I intentionally choosing to consume that's going to allow me to be at my highest, most best as I actively move through the world? Or am I just saying, bring it on and just flood me with anything and
Mhm.
crazy as a loon because I've just eaten emotionally, spiritually, and mentally anything and everything. And I
Mhm.
can repeat any of the latest hooks and chimes and channels or whatever, but crazy as hell.
Mhm.
Or am I going to consciously say, I'm going to consciously, intentionally program myself, whether it's
Yes.
over a 2 week period, a 30-day, 60-day, a 365? I'm only going to listen to, and I'm going to tune out everything else. I'm
Yeah.
only permitting this in my mind on an ongoing basis so I can actively be intentional about building the self that I said I wanted to be.
Yeah. And you remind me of this thing that I always say. I don't know. I just learned this by accident because I've always been like a minimalist kind of style, and I've I've just really come to understand that life is so much less about what you do and so much more about what you don't do. It's the
Mm.
self-restraint. That is intention. Intention is it's not what do I got to do? Intention is how do I take a step back, find self-understanding, and out of understanding, move with intention. Not just move for moving's sake, because then I'm going to move in 100 different directions. No, no. Self-understanding, and out of self-understanding, I know exactly what road to take, right? And that's just called clarity, right? Seeking clarity. And that's on an individual basis. And
Yes.
but that's also relationships, like
Yes.
mutual understanding.
Yes.
It's not letting yourself be taken by the impulses, right? Because that people, it's people that bring out the emotional triggers and stuff like that. It's taking a step back, seeking to see and understand the other person, and the best relationship is mutual understanding, where the other person does the same, right? And from that mutual understanding, you have now power to make an intentional decision. All right, what is best for you? What is best for me? And if we're really meant to be together, then we can find that one timeline out of infinite timelines where what is best for you is also best for me. And we are aligned, you know? And I think this arises first, relationship understanding, right, with the partner arises first out of self-understanding. You have to know how to practice it within yourself in order to practice it with another. And I'm so lucky that I know I've done this work. My partner's done this work, and it's like
Yes.
it's just it works. It like the communication's easy, you know.
The opportunity for each, that there was a man many years ago who wrote a book. His name was Joseph Campbell. He's been an ancestor, I want to say mid late 80s, about the hero's journey.
Mhm.
And what I find for me that the hero's journey is the actually going into myself. It is a journey many of us will not take because we're afraid. We've been told that we won't be able to do it unless somebody else guides us to it.
Yeah,
Someone else can point us in that direction, but the journey is like the journey of birth. You come in here by yourself.
yeah,
You're going to meet folks when you get here. And so this hero's journey of journeying within and starting to study oneself and being intentional about it. See, you've used the word intentional, and many of us don't are intentional in various areas of my life. I know I've got areas that still need a whole lot of intent and prayer on them. I ain't gonna even go front on that. But what I am clear on is that it is an ongoing engagement with this spirit that lives within me and lives as me. And as I make that intentional choice to do it daily, not just when it feels good or when I got time on my calendar. No, because ain't gonna never be enough time.
yeah,
I got to do it all the time. Now I have to be actively engaged with it, even as I'm speaking to Alan, even
Mhm.
as I'm standing on a stage, even as I'm serving through sound. It is intentional for me before I step on a stage, whether I'm going solo or out with my trio, is to have a moment where there's an intentional prayer and intent to do the best that we can right here and right now, and know that it's already done. And that is
Yeah.
intentional for me. So when I go out and I start to have relationships with people, but whether for husband, because all of it is an ongoing relationship. And as I've moved into various circles, there have been folks that I was in relationship with that have severed the ties. But that was the infinite saying, you have completed your assignment with those people, those entities, those individuals. And sometimes the way it was done, I was like, damn, you didn't have to do it like that. It was hurtful as hell.
Yeah.
But however, I might not have stepped away, or them. And so when it's done, and I can really, this is something else I want to say, and I'll get to that about obedience school. And when I've
Mhm.
been able to step away and look at the full picture, I said that was a divine assignment. It was clear.
Mhm.
One of the things that we do, and what I've noted here, my husband and I live downtown Oakland, is that there are many people who have dogs now. I think I see many people with dogs living in a downtown setting that I've ever seen in my life. And what I'm clear on is that folks will send their dogs to what we call obedience school,
Mhm.
so that the dog knows how to behave, walk, talk, where to poop, that. And you were saying something earlier, and I wish I could uh, really grasp it and repeat it back to you.
Mhm.
Oh, about handling one's own energy and emotion.
Mhm.
Is that when are we going to actually send our emotions to obedience school as opposed to just allowing it to have free reign?
And now a quick word from today's sponsor. And today this episode is brought to you by your one and only, that's right, that's me, Alan Nogier's very own book. It's called Intentionally Fulfilled. Now this book is all about becoming intentional toward a life that you love. It's about becoming fulfilled. I help you do this through an actionable process of manifesting your greatest reality that you can implement as you're reading the book. On this journey, you're going to discover an insane amount of spiritual undertones, understanding of the egoic godlike complex, how your finances, relationships, your health, how it all ties together so that you can become intentional in every aspect of your life. And I promise when you're done reading this book, you will not be the same person. Now, if you're enjoying this podcast, go ahead and find this book on Amazon, either on paperback or Kindle version by typing in Intentionally Fulfilled or by typing in my name, Alan Nogier. I hope you get a chance to read it, and if you do, it would mean the world to me if you left me a review. Now let's go ahead and get back to the episode.
Yep. And that comes from self understanding. It's looking at, oh my gosh, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this one. Your concept, the hero's journey, right? It is so heroic because self-understanding, looking at oneself is painful. It's the mirror. And the truth of the mirror is that pain is truth and truth is love.
Mm.
On the other
Wow.
side of your pain is your truth. That's where you will discover yourself. But the truth hurts because it makes you realize you've been walking the wrong road. You've been walking the illusions. You've been chasing comparison. You've been doing all these things other than doing you.
Ha! How about that, Minnie? How about that? Have you been doing you? Probably not. You've been doing somebody else. You are the poorest. Destiny Muhammad can be the poorest version of somebody else.
Oh.
And that is an unconscious choice. As I become more conscious and more intentional, I become the best version of myself. And baby, yeah, it's priceless. I can walk to a room and folks say, that's that Destiny Muhammad right there. Somebody here, that's that Destiny Muhammad right there.
Yeah.
No, that's not a poor version of, and you can fill in the blanks with any artist or ideal. No. That's that Destiny Muhammad right there. How you know? Because Destiny Muhammad always say it that way.
Yes.
Destiny Muhammad plays the harp, always there's that thing that she does with harp that's only Destiny. See, I get to, when I'm authentic, baby, I'm the purest, most perfect, powerful, prosperous, and successful version of myself. Anything else ain't even an ugly copy.
Yeah.
Ain't trying to do it. Tried to do it. Tried to fit in the mold that society kept, and then the mold kept changing. One year is this and that. Look. Then it became something else, and just couldn't keep up with that.
Yeah.
And finally deciding, I don't even have to be. I get to be the best version of myself. And as I move and groove and have my being walking on this planet, folks say that is exactly what we were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You were exactly, there are 10,000 harpists, there are 10,000 musicians here. But when the spirit is starting to align itself, it said that was what we wanted. We know how many harpists are out there. But what we wanted is a Destiny Muhammad. What we wanted, and I can name the name of some of my contemporaries who are out there who are fiercely doing themselves.
Mm-hmm.
When we wanted a podcaster, what did we say? Oh yeah, there are 3 billion podcasters, but what we wanted was an Alan. Why? Because the spirit of Alan speaks to us. Deep speaks to deep, and we need that kind of energy to push it forward, to push the envelope on the way that we see it. See, when it calls, but it's called specifically as a personality known as. There used to be a show that came on back in the day, and I had forgotten about it till I heard somebody say the name. It was a cowboy show that came on called Gunsmoke.
Mm-hmm.
And Gunsmoke, the conversation was, and James so-and-so as this entity.
Mm-hmm.
James so-and-so as, that word as. God showing up as Alan.
Mm-hmm.
God showing up as that. Many gods, little, and I mean many, not like MANY, MINI, many gods. God saying, you are my mini me showing up.
Yeah.
I need for you to be the best version of what I asked you to be. Yeah. I know you got amnesia. We trying to fucking wake up.
Yeah. And Destiny and I met through Ali Hussein, who everybody, I mean, we both love him, just go back 3 episodes and you'll love him too. And you'll know why. He's an amazing soul. And something he said on the podcast is, God is when God is remembered. There's God, a God like is like all the mini gods is everywhere. So which one are you going to choose to remember? Or are we living our life not remembering at all? Not seeing, not waking up, as you say? There
are many of us, and I want to say all of us are in various states of waking up. There are some folks, though, that will stay in that selective amnesia because they know if they wake up, then the work begins.
Mm-hmm.
And some folks, even though they made that ethereal agreement before they stepped into the body, they got here, it was like, oh no, that shit look hard.
Yeah.
I ain't even trying to do that. I'm going to stay asleep. I'm going to snore. And even if I'm not asleep, I'm asleep because I'm not trying to do it. And we get to allow those individuals to stay right where they are and bless them right where they are, but keep on the path that has our name on it. Mm-hmm. See, just because somebody else is asleep don't mean that you don't still get to do the work. I still get to do my work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love your perspective on life. You get to, not have to. That's why you like, that's why you're a childlike, authentic soul, because every day is an opportunity. It's not how do I have to compete in comparison. It's how today do I get to discover myself, discover the life that was meant for me. you
See,
know?
and for me, I feel I love discovery. I love this power of being a curator creator. And I don't know if you saw the movie Soul, the
Yes,
animation.
so
Do you
beautiful.
do you remember in that portion where the I'm trying to remember what the I'm gonna call him emoji for lack of a better term, but Jamie Foxx, who's playing the voices, he said, "Who curated this life?"
Yeah,
And I remember him saying, I was like, "See, that's how am I choosing to curate my life? Using the tools that I have right now and developing those tools and even acquiring new tools. But how am I curating my life right now? See, this came from a curation that invited this curation, a
yeah,
curation with Dr. Ali.
yeah.
And then even an introduction to Dr. Ali by a curation that happened. We were both members of a digital residency called Raise Karma.
Hmm.
And then going back into a curation with a group that I'm still connected with called Gathering All Muslim Artists, GAMA. And then that curation of being at a coffee house, literally downstairs from where I live, and having a brother ear hustle, hearing who I am, and actually going on Facebook while I'm running my mouth and find out who I am, and then brushing up, saying, he said, "Look, I got these groups of folks. I didn't know this boy from Manning, but I've only seen him 3 times since. That's almost 3 years ago."
Yeah,
It's that for me, I am not discovering. I am creating these. I'm co-creating with this infinite spirit the idea of how it saw me before I even took on a body.
yeah,
And so I love that. So curating, creating with this infinite. And sometimes I don't like my curation. Sometimes I want to do like a potter do and smash it up and put it back on the wheel and spin it again in another direction. And that's
yeah.
cool too. I learned from that. I learned I did not like that. That
Mhm.
didn't suit the ideal of what I had in mind, but at least I learned from it. And if I ever get asked to speak, which is happening a lot now, I can talk about how that curation wasn't to the best of what I could do
Mhm.
and how I got a chance to amend it and recreate it and recurate it.
Yeah. I wish people could see how you speak because this is all audio and when you speak, I just want everyone to visualize this. When you speak destiny, you close your eyes, you feel it, your body moves with it, and that's the point. It's not separate. That is your spirit coming through, and your spirit can come through in anything,
Anything,
right?
anything,
Anything, right? And
anything.
And so I want to ask you because I know that the audience has been with us for about an hour, so I want to start wrapping it up. I know they love this, so maybe I would love to do another conversation in the future after a few
Yay,
episodes.
yay.
And I want to ask you, what is the one thing that I think that you think would allow people to really channel their spirit into anything and everything? Like, what can help someone wake up, if you will, to find that which they don't remember about themselves?
I will share with you, and I know it's one thing. I enjoy to study a man who's been an ancestor by the name of Neville Goddard. And he's got a series. He's been an ancestor since 1972, and he has a series of audios of him and books that are out on the internet. And I could consume all of them. But what I have learned is the power of repetition. He has one YouTube and even on iTunes, it's called Mental Diets. And it's 19 minutes and 43 seconds. I listen to it every day, and sometime on repeat. And he says in that, I want to say is the activity of success is that we meditate on a simple phrase. And I invite the person that if you can meditate and repetitively say to yourself, probably for a minute of time of 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, a meditation just for you, where you say it repetitively. You sit with your eyes closed and repeatedly say it to yourself 5 times for 5 minutes repetitively, and then a 1 minute just allowing that sound to move through you without any words or thoughts. These are things, and you get to create an affirmation just for yourself. There are several, and sometimes we need a jump starter. We need a little kick, a little something first that we can learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be some hood metaphysics. Yes, I am all that. Yes, I am all that.
Yeah.
Yes, I am all that. Yes, I am all that. I'm good. I'm great. I'm good. I'm good. I'm great. I'm good. 5 minutes. You rock Jay-Z all the damn day.
That's so true.
And not making quit playing.
Yeah.
You go to Megan Thee Stallion with Beyonce going, I don't argue with these lazy bitches. I just raise our price. I don't argue with these lazy bitches. I just raise our price. You feel me? We got meditations all the time. We got affirmations all the time. But have you designed one for you or borrowed one and say, that's my affirmation for myself, and I'm going to repeat it for the next 30 days, 5 minutes in the morning before I leave for work and 5 minutes before I rest my head. You willing to do that? That's the one thing. Let's start that reprogramming.
Yeah, 100%. And what I love about how you do it, and I want everybody to see this, right? In case you haven't noticed Destiny's amazing outgoing energy, is that she has fun with affirmations. And so many people approach affirmations with seriousness. And I always say an intentional thought is 3 things.
Whew.
What you think, how you think,
well,
and why you think what you think. How you think, what you think, and why you think it, right? So it's not just you sit down and say the affirmation. That's the what. The how and why you say it is what's reflecting in the subconscious, right? So if we sit down in an affirmation and we say it all serious because we have to affirm it, like we feel what we're really telling ourselves that subconsciously we don't have that.
Come on.
That we aren't that affirmation.
Yeah.
So have fun with it. Sing it, like I am whole. I'm amazing, yeah. Am whole. I'm amazing, yeah.
What?
I love it, and so just have fun.
And have fun with it. See, this is a thing. This is what I say is that we are doing it all the time. That's why the words of my mouth. What are you saying in some of these songs? There was a jazz, a blues singer who's been an ancestor about 6 years, B.B. King. He said, I want to live the life that I sing about in my songs. Mm-hmm. Do you want to live the thug life for real? See, I've been a witness to the thug life, baby. It just looks sexy. It's dangerous as hell.
Yeah.
But what is the life that you want? What are you willing to sing? There was another group when I go back in time called Cameo, who was to me, I think they were some old church boys. I just want to be what you want me to be. Oh, I only want to see what you want me to see. So if that was an affirmation, they would say, if you want to dance, let's do it. Do you say, I want to be rich, let's get to it? Do you, what are you willing to transform?
Yeah.
How are you willing to renew your mind? What are you willing to give up? I don't dance to everything because I don't want that verbiage to get in my spirit. The rhythm is hot. Woo! Some of them rhythms, boy, make you want to get out there and break dance, baby.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to live that life.
Mm-hmm.
It on TV, it looks fly and sexy. Everybody's popping their collar, even when they pole. If you have ever lived that life, wondering where the next meal's coming from, the EBT card has become sexy because now everybody got one. But I remember back in the day when it was food stamps and when it was time to pay for your groceries, the cashier would look at you like you were trash. And so you were stealing money out of her check or his. And so let us be mindful about how we speak and think to ourselves and to other people, because what I recognize is many times I am speaking to people the way that I speak to myself.
Yeah.
And if I'm speaking harshly to people, I've probably already practiced on myself. That's why it's easier to do it on you. So if I'm speaking love over me, if I'm speaking life over myself, then speaking life over you is easy. Because I've been practicing on myself. Are you practicing on yourself the best, highest version of yourself? Are you speaking love? Were you looking in the mirror and you say, "Oh yeah, that's a good looking woman. Oh yeah, I'm cute. Not just cute today, but every day. I am wise and smart." What are you willing? Are you willing? This is that one thing. Speak life over yourself. 5 minutes, not a whole bunch, because sometimes you got to start with just one and make that a repetitive for 5 minutes, 5 times a day. Excuse me, yeah, you could do 5 times a day for 1 minute, or 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. And the same word or the same sentence that is known only to you, and don't tell nobody, because everybody's not going to get you yet. They're going to think that you're crazy. Well, what are you willing to do to help to push you to the next evolution of your own personal greatness? Because when folks see you walking in your personal greatness, you are going to be that light. And they're going to be like moths trying to get to that light. But what you really want to do is to be the light that points them back to the light within themselves. Man, isn't that fun? Because then we all get to rise together. See, I want my posse to be flossing and doing good and rising, and we all rising together. Some people fall off, and I dislike that. But I know that I have to keep going. And if they're going to come up, they will rise too. Or I will meet them on the next evolution of myself, which is called the other side, or the heaven, or whatever you want to call it. But keep rising and growing and have a personal affirmation. I call them urban affirmations. Come on, baby. Have an urban. Sometimes it doesn't have to be the Shakespearean, thou shalt and I shalt be. No, I'm a badass and I know it. I'm a badass and I know it. I'm a badass and I know it. Yes, 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 yes. Whatever. Yeah. Sometimes be that for me. But I invite you to commit to one sentence. Commit to one. There used to be a time, commit to one. I'm gonna go back to that. You commit to one sentence, one affirmation. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening. And do it for 30 days repetitively. And once you have stepped into that, you won't want to go back as before, because you'll start to see and pay attention to the little clues that's for you. Just the little. It'll be little things. And don't say, "Oh, that's just a little nothing." Sometimes the little clues for me, a lot of times, I might walk down the street and see like a penny on the ground. And so that's just a penny. Let me understand what. If it can't trust me with a penny, $1 million ain't coming.
Yes.
How I treat that penny is the same way I have to practice treating $1 million. So I treat a penny and they get the same level of respect. I want to share with this, and I know we're at time here, is that when I was coming up, my mother was born and raised Catholic, but she didn't raise us Catholic. That's a whole other story. But when I was coming up, folks would go to the Catholic church 3 times a day. And they usually tried to work wherever their parish was. And most of that is because most of us still associate meeting God at a facility, a church, a synagogue, a mosque. And people would go to church, and that 3 times a day, they would go in the morning before they went to work. They would go in the afternoon, either just before lunch, and then before they went home, they would stop at the church again. And these were their prayer times. because they felt if they could get to the church, that's where the sacred place where God lived. And what I invite even myself that I do is to see that sacredness happening right where I am, which means I can stop and bust a move in prayer right there.
Yes. I love that you say prayer after having talked about affirmations, because I believe that affirmations and prayer are the same, one in the same exact thing. They're just saying it a different way, right? Because what is a prayer? A prayer is remembering God. But what is an affirmation? You are remembering the pureness of the God that lives in you and everything around you.
Yes.
So when you pray, even then, have fun with it. Have a fun relationship with God and the God that you wish to see, right? And have fun and approach it out of abundance, not out of, God, this is what I need my bills to be paid, because what you focus on expands, right? So if you're focused on the bills and the scarcity and the underlying how, what, and why of your thought is subconsciously, I am not, I don't have, well, then guess what? You're only going to see a reality that affirms the subconscious belief.
You're only going to see a reality that affirms your current existence.
Yes. Yep.
He just said that. The opportunity is can you thank this God of your understanding for what you have? One, we just on the other side of a pandemic. You still breathing? Hello, God. Hey now, did you walk up to your refrigerator and there was something there? Ice cubes, yes! Ice cubes is good. Just coffee. Are you grateful for what you have?
Yes.
Because what I know, if I don't know anything else, when I am grateful for what I have, it opens the door for more. But if I am not grateful for what I have, even that will be snatched away.
100%.
100%. So the gratitude will bring more than you can actually handle. But
Yeah.
I love that. So let's be grateful. So when we approach God first, thank you. I woke up this morning. I woke up in a house or an apartment. I woke up, my bed is warm. I'm warm. There is hot and cold water. Hot and cold and water.
Yeah.
What are we grateful for in this moment that will allow the infinite to open up the door to even more?
Yeah. Wow. Destiny, this has been an amazing conversation, and I can't thank you enough. You're such a beautiful spirit, and I know people felt that. I told you from the very beginning. If you want to rewind it, listen to the whole thing again, send it to someone, because what you're saying needs to be heard. And the way you say it so upliftingly, and I'm inspired to. I want to add an extra little portion of this podcast. So the next podcast I'll release, I want to talk about exactly the tool that you gave, the affirmation, and I'll make it very I'll guide everyone that's listening, because that tool hasn't been said on this podcast. And I love that you said it because it will lead to gratitude, and gratitude is the answer to,
It will transfer. I can honestly tell you, if there was nothing else, if the prayer of gratitude was actually activated in the lives of everyone every day, we would start to see some transformations, some healing transformations on all levels. And so I'm not waiting for everyone else. I'm applying gratitude ongoing every day. I have so much to be grateful for.
Yeah.
That it goes beyond hands, and it takes the hand and feet of 1,000 people to even touch the level of gratitude that I have for the things that have happened to me and for me. This breath, my previous life, and as I move forward, I know the power of gratitude, and I invite you to apply it. Don't say, well, it's not. No, say thank you for what it is right now.
Yeah. Destiny, thank you so much. Can you tell us, where can people find you?
Yeah,
go ahead.
You can find me on Instagram, Destiny Muhammad Music. You can find me on Facebook, Destiny Muhammad, Harper's from the Hood, the Destiny Muhammad Project. You can find me on Twitter at Sound Sculptress, and you can also find me on TikTok at
Awesome.
Destiny Muhammad Music. And those are my platforms. And you can also find me on my website, destinymuhammad.net, which I believe on all of those platforms, I have it on a part of my link tree. So please feel free to reach out and just say, hey, how you doing? Let's touch and affirm with one another the goodness of God activating in all of our lives. And all else, let's just be grateful for what we have right now.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Destiny. I really appreciate you so much. And I hope everybody loved this conversation. Remember to share it, screenshot it, put it on your story, say you got to listen to this one, because people do have to listen to this kind of stuff. And that's what we're talking about, the affirmation. You got to put it into your reality if you want it to become your reality, you know? So thank you so much, Destiny. I hope you have a magnificent day.
It's already better.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did find it super valuable and you want to share it with the world, make sure to screenshot, post, and tag me on Instagram so I can see what you're up to and we can connect more. And to get notified on the next episode with me, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen. Now get out there, do great things, be a decent human, and I will see you next time.